Israel may be about to do something that could permanently alter the prospects for peace in the Middle East. Prime Minister Netanyahu campaigned on a plan to annex portions of the West Bank, which is recognized as Palestinian territory. And the U.S. peace plan has emboldened Bibi Netanyahu to fulfill this campaign promise. Just days from now, Israel may start taking the land. Jordan has warned of a massive conflict if Israel proceeds, and Europe has told Israel it considers the move illegal. Does Netanyahu care? Joining me now is the former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Olmert. Welcome, Prime Minister Olmert.
I'm honored.
Let me ask you, as a former Prime Minister, as Bibi's immediate predecessor, is there a national security justification, which is the one the Prime Minister is providing, for this move?
Well, quite frankly, I don't recognize such a security problem for Israel. Historically, the Jordan Valley was a very sensitive area, but this was in 1967 when there was a very strong Jordanian army just across the river, and much further to the east there was a very powerful Iraqi army. Today, Jordan is an ally of the State of Israel, and there is no Iraqi army, and there is not any essential, sensitive, or immediate security problem for the State of Israel on the east side. There is no Eastern Front anymore, and therefore there is not really any serious need for any, certainly not for any unilateral steps regarding the Jordan Valley.
And what about the politics of this? You negotiated with the Palestinians. You know how complicated and difficult that is. What would a move like this do to the prospects for Israel's political future and obviously the prospects of the Palestinians?
Number one, Fareed, I must say that to the best of my knowledge, and I think I'm quite familiar with the Israeli scene, I don't know of any serious security expert in the State of Israel, any former general or senior person in the security establishment of Israel, which thinks that there is a need, certainly not at this time, to take unilateral steps and annex the territory. So there is a very serious and deep controversy in the State of Israel between, I think, the majority of Israelis who do not understand why in the middle of the battle against Corona, we need to start a new battle against the Palestinians, which is entirely unnecessary. I think that it will create a serious controversy, but more so, I'm seriously concerned that if there will be a unilateral step to annex any part of the territories, this will ruin the chances for any further direct negotiations between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. Now, I'm familiar with the Trump plan, and there might be different opinions about parts of this, but this is the plan that was presented by President Trump to both sides, and it is based on two major principles. One is the creation of a Palestinian state. Another is that there will be changes in the territorial division as a result of negotiations. But there ought to be negotiations, and both sides must accept the two principles, the creation of a Palestinian state and that there might be some territorial changes. I haven't heard yet that there is any attempt to establish a process of negotiations, and I think that it is incumbent upon the Prime Minister of Israel, and I'm talking from my side, I'm the Israeli side. I care for Israel, I care for the security of Israel, I care for the future of Israel, and I care for peace between Israel and the Palestinians. So it's incumbent on us to say that we accept both principles of the Trump plan, which is the creation of a Palestinian state and the territorial adjustments, which are part of it. I haven't yet heard it from Netanyahu, and therefore there is a certain feeling of discomfort, to put it mildly, that somehow the the attempt to annex the parts of the territories on a unilateral basis is an effort to bypass the need for direct negotiations between us and the Palestinians, something which I think will shatter the foundation of stability in the Middle East. And I'm very much concerned about it.
Why do you think Bibi Netanyahu is doing this now? Does this have something to do with his relationship with Trump, with the November elections? What are your thoughts?
I think, quite frankly, that if he does this, what it reflects in my mind is a growing concern on the side of Netanyahu that Trump will not be re-elected. Everyone says that this is an opportunity for us because Trump supports Israel. But if Netanyahu is confident that Trump will be re-elected, why hurry up now? Why not wait until after the elections, and then while Trump is president and being re-elected, he can coordinate it with the Americans. The feeling that he hurries up is because he may not be confident that Trump will be re-elected. I think that this is, unfortunately, in 2012, the Israeli Prime Minister was very much involved in what appeared to be an attempt to support the then Republican candidate Mitt Romney against President Obama. I don't think that Israel should be part of the election process in the United States. The support for Israel is bipartisan. It should stay so, and we should not intervene, certainly not in any way to help the president in his re-election bid or to help the Joe Biden, who is a great friend of Israel and a great supporter of Israel, in his bid for the presidency. We should stay out, and we should leave the Middle East outside of the political scene of the United States of America. And I think that if we will take these unilateral measures at this point, it might be devastating. I think it will ruin the status of Israel in many places across the world, in Europe as well as in many parts of America, and of course in other parts of the world. But also it can destabilize the entire region. I'm not certain that I know what might be the reaction of Jordan. I know King Abdullah II. He is a great patriot of Jordan. He is a great supporter of the solution of the two states, of the creation of a Palestinian state, and he's a great friend of the state of Israel. Why should we want to compromise his position at this point? I don't know, I don't understand, and I haven't heard yet from the Prime Minister of Israel any expression of or any explanations that can clarify this.
That's wise words, Prime Minister. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Rick.